When you stop contacting a woman, it shakes up the entire dynamic. Most men think silence will simply make her forget, move on, or not care. But that's not how female psychology works. In fact, when you go quiet, something powerful begins to happen inside her mind. It creates uncertainty. And uncertainty is the one thing that keeps attraction alive. Welcome to the channel. Today we're breaking down a controversial but very real truth about women. The moment you pull away, her mind reacts in ways that might surprise you. And this is important because many men get it backwards. They think constant texting, checking in, or always being available makes a woman feel secure and keeps her interested. But in reality, too much chasing suffocates attraction. When you stop contacting her, that's when the game truly changes. This video isn't about playing childish games. It's about understanding how women think and how your actions either build or destroy attraction. Women are emotional creatures, and silence has a way of pressing the right buttons in their psychology. When you step back, she starts questioning. She wonders if you've lost interest, if you found someone else, or if she pushed you away. And the more those questions grow, the more her curiosity and sometimes even her desire intensifies. Now, here's the controversial part. Sometimes a woman won't notice your silence right away. She might act cold, distant, or pretend she doesn't care. But behind that surface, she's processing your absence. And when she realizes you're no longer giving her the attention she once had on demand, her behavior shifts. That's when you start to see her true colors, whether she's genuinely interested in you or only enjoyed the validation. In this video, I'll walk you through exactly what happens in a woman's mind when you stop contacting her. By the end, you'll not only understand her reactions, but you'll also know how to handle them in a way that keeps you in control. 1. The shock of silence. Why the shock of silence? Why women notice instantly, women notice instantly. When you stop contacting a woman, the very first thing she feels is the disruption. You see, most men don't realize how quickly a woman grows accustomed to your presence, even if she doesn't show it. Whether it's your texts, calls, or just the small check-ins you do throughout the day, she gets used to the rhythm. It's like background music she doesn't consciously notice until it suddenly stops. That's when silence becomes loud. Now, here's what makes this powerful. Women are naturally tuned into patterns. They notice changes, even the subtle ones. When you pull back and stop reaching out, it instantly grabs her attention because her brain registers that something she relied on, even casually, is no longer there. Think of it as removing a chair she always leaned on. At first, she might shrug, but the moment she goes to lean and it's not there, she feels the absence deeply. This shock of silence is not about her missing your words, it's about what those words represented. They reassured her that she had access to you, that you were available, that you were interested. When that access disappears, her mind kicks into overdrive. Why isn't he texting? Did he lose interest? Did he find someone else? Did I do something wrong? These questions stir emotions. And that's exactly why women notice instantly when a man pulls away. Most men underestimate this reaction because they assume women are always in control, especially if she's the one who seemed distant or distracted before. But here's the twist. Even the most confident woman feels a jolt when the communication she expects is suddenly gone. It interrupts her sense of comfort. And human psychology, especially female psychology, reacts strongly to broken patterns. Now, don't get this twisted. It's not always about love or deep attachment right away. Sometimes it's just ego. A woman might not even be that invested yet, but the fact that you are giving her consistent attention created a small sense of security. When that stops, it challenges her importance in your life. Nobody likes to feel replaced or unimportant, and silence can trigger that fear in her almost immediately. That's why silence is powerful. It communicates without words. It makes her feel your absence in a way talking never could. And the irony is the more she was taking your attention for granted, the more she'll notice when it's no longer there. So the first reaction you spark when you stop contacting her is shock. Sometimes subtle, sometimes strong, but always noticeable. And once that shock sets in, it plants the seed for everything else she's about to feel in the days that follow. 2. How uncertainty fuels her, how uncertainty fuels her curiosity. After the initial shock of your silence, something more powerful begins to grow inside her, uncertainty. And let me tell you this, uncertainty is one of the most effective forces in female psychology. A woman's mind doesn't sit still when she doesn't have answers. Instead it races, it imagines, it creates stories to fill the gaps. And once her mind starts spinning, curiosity takes over. Here's why. When you were texting or calling regularly, she knew exactly where she stood with you. You were available, predictable, and easy to access. That predictability might have comforted her, but it also gave her a sense of control. She didn't have to wonder about you because you were always there. But when you go silent, you remove her certainty. Suddenly, she's no longer sure if she still has that grip on your attention. That lack of control is what fuels curiosity. Now, women are emotional detectives by nature. When something feels off, they don't just shrug it off. They start observing, replaying past conversations and questioning themselves. Did he get tired of me? Is he testing me? Did I say something wrong? Is he with someone else? That emotional investigation is her way of trying to regain clarity. But here's the catch. Your silence gives her no answers, and the absence of answers keeps her hooked. This is where most men go wrong. They think by reaching out, explaining themselves, or constantly reassuring her, they'll build attraction. But reassurance kills curiosity. Certainty makes her feel safe, yes, but it doesn't make her intrigued. What actually keeps her invested is the not knowing. That space where her imagination has to work over time. That's where attraction deepens. Think about this. People value what's scarce. If she doesn't hear from you, your attention suddenly becomes scarce, and the less of it she gets, the more she starts to wonder about its value. She may even begin comparing the silence to the attention you once gave her, realizing how much she actually enjoyed having you present, even if she didn't admit it before. And here's another layer. Uncertainty triggers a mix of emotions in her. Sometimes it's mild frustration, other times it's a longing to hear from you. At moments, she may even feel anger or defensive. But notice this, all of those emotions keep her engaged with you even in her silence. Whether she's frustrated, curious, or secretly missing you, she's still emotionally tied to your presence. That's the paradox of uncertainty. Even negative emotions can deepen her investment because they're all centered around you. Let me put it simply. When she's sure of you, her emotions calm down and she relaxes. But when she's not sure, her emotions fire up and she becomes hyper-aware of you. She starts checking her phone more often. She reads old messages. She notices things she ignored before. In other words, your absence forces her to pay closer attention. Now, does this mean you should play games or manipulate her with silence? Number 3, why silence stings more than words, why silence stings more than words. Here's something you might not realize. Silence often cuts deeper than anything you could ever say. Words can be explained away, argued against, or even ignored. But silence leaves no room for defense. It forces a woman to sit with her own thoughts, her own doubts, and her own emotions. And that's far more powerful than any speech you could give. Think about it. When you argue with her, when you try to explain yourself, or when you chase her with reassurance, she gets clarity. Even if she doesn't like what she hears, she knows where you stand. But when you say nothing, she doesn't get that clarity. And that's where the sting lies. It's the not knowing, it's the unanswered questions. It's the tension that builds in the absence of your words. Women are emotional creatures and emotions thrive on meaning. When you stay silent, she has to give your silence meaning. And because the female mind tends to overanalyze, she often fills that silence with her own insecurities. Why hasn't he called? Is he losing interest? Did he move on? Did I push him away? Every answered question is a tiny cut to her ego and her pride. Here's the twist. Your silence doesn't just sting her. It magnifies your presence. The less you say, the louder your absence becomes. She feels it in moments when she'd normally expect to hear from you. She notices it in the spaces where your attention used to fill her world. The silence echoes in her mind, and it follows her around like a shadow, and here's where it becomes truly powerful. Silence doesn't just sting her emotionally, it stings her psychologically. Words can make her angry, but silence makes her reflective. She starts replaying past conversations, questioning her own behavior, and even doubting the control she thought she had over you. In her mind, silence isn't just a pause, it's a message that you don't need to explain yourself, that you're not desperate for her attention, and that you're strong enough to withhold what most men can't. This is why silence often leaves a deeper impact than any argument ever could. Arguments can make her feel powerful. She knows she can pull emotions out of you. But silence makes her feel powerless because she can't predict, can't control, and can't fully understand you. And that's where attraction begins to rebuild. So never underestimate the weight of silence. It's not weakness, it's strength. It's not avoidance. It's a strategy. Silence works because it shifts the balance of power. Instead of you chasing her, she left chasing answers. And the sting of your silence lingers far longer than the sound of any words you could say. 4. The ego shock of being ignored. When a man goes silent, it doesn't just sting a woman emotionally. It hits her ego like a punch she didn't see coming. You have to understand this. Most women are used to being noticed, validated, and reassured. Whether it's from men online, in person, or even from you when things for good attention is something she expects. When you break that pattern by ignoring her, it delivers a shock to her ego that she can't brush off easily. Here's the thing about female psychology. Attention is currency. It reassures her that she's still desirable, still in control, and still important. So when you pull back and stop feeding her with that attention, it creates an emptiness that she feels immediately. And it's not just about missing you, it's about what it says to her self-image. Suddenly, she's not the center of your world anymore. Suddenly, she doesn't have that power over you. And that's where the ego bruise comes in. At first, she may try to play it cool. She might tell herself, I don't care, I don't need him, or he'll come around. But when days pass and your silence remains firm, the cracks in her ego begin to show. She starts checking her phone more often. She replays the last conversations you had, wondering if she said something wrong. She might even post things online just to see if you'll react. This is all about trying to regain the validation your silence has taken away. What makes being ignored so powerful is that it flips the script. Women are used to being the ones pursued. They're used to men responding instantly, trying to fix things or proving their worth. But when you don't give her that reaction, she suddenly feels what most men feel when they're on the other side. Uncertainty, insecurity, and doubt. That's an ego shock she isn't prepared for, and it makes her rethink everything she thought she knew about the dynamic between you. Now, don't confuse this with revenge or cruelty. Ignoring a woman isn't about being cold for the sake of it. It's about discipline. It's about holding your frame and not rewarding behavior that doesn't deserve your energy. Silence forces her to deal with her own emotions without you stepping in to fix them. And that, ironically, is what makes her start chasing again. Here's the deeper layer. When a woman experiences that ego shock, it plants a seed of curiosity. She starts asking herself, why isn't he reacting like other men would? Why isn't he chasing me? Has he found someone else? Or is he really strong enough to walk away from me? Those questions swirl in her mind, and instead of feeling like she's in control, she feels like she's losing it. And the moment she feels she's losing control over you, that's when attraction can reignite. Why? Because a man who isn't dependent on her validation is a man she can't fully predict, and unpredictability in the female mind creates both tension and desire. Ignoring her bruises her ego, but it also wakes her up. It reminds her that you are not hers to command, and when she feels that shift, it forces her to see you differently. 5. When attraction feels like a risk, attraction's like a risk, here's something most men don't realize. When you pull away or go silent, a woman doesn't just miss your presence. She starts associating attraction with risk. And this is where things get interesting. Attraction feels good when it's safe, predictable, and constantly fed. But when your silence enters the picture, it flips that comfort upside down. Suddenly, being attracted to you means she might lose something. Think about it. When a woman feels like she is you, she relaxes. She knows you'll answer her texts. She knows you'll be there, and she knows she can always get your attention when she wants it. There's no risk because she's in control. But when you stop giving her that certainty, attraction becomes dangerous in her mind. Why? Because now she feels like wanting you could leave her exposed. Women hate the idea of giving power away. They want to feel in control of the dynamic, even if they're deeply attracted to you. But when your silence breaks her expectations, she realizes attraction is no longer in her hands. If she wants you, she has to risk the possibility that you don't want her anymore. That's where the fear creeps in. Here's what happens internally. She starts fighting with herself. One side of her says, don't chase him, don't let him think he has power. The other side says, but what if he's slipping away? What if I lose him for good? That internal tug-of-war is what makes silence so powerful. It doesn't just make her miss you. It makes her realize that being with you isn't guaranteed. And here's the truth. Attraction without risk is weak. The women who feel overly safe and overly certain about you will take you for granted. But when you inject risk into the dynamic, it forces her to value you differently. Think about it like this. People only treasure what they could lose. When your silence reminds her she doesn't fully have you, she feels at risk. And that's what makes attraction stronger, not weaker. But here's where most men mess this up. They think pulling away means cutting her off completely forever. That's not the point. The point is to allow her to sit in the uncertainty, to feel the weight of not having you at her fingertips. It's not about punishment, it's about resetting the balance of attraction so it no longer feels one-sided. When she feels that risk, she starts investing again. She might initiate conversations, test the waters with subtle texts, or even show up in ways she didn't before. All of this is her way of saying, I still want you, but I'm afraid you might not want me back. That fear of loss is exactly what reignites her drive to pursue. So remember this, your silence transforms attraction from something casual into something valuable. It forces her to see that having you is not automatic. It comes with risk. And when attraction carries risk, it becomes something she can't ignore. 6. The hidden test behind her distance, hidden test behind her distance. When a woman pulls away, most men panic. They immediately think she's losing interest, she's done with me. But here's the truth. Many times, her distance isn't about ending things. It's a test, a hidden test to see what kind of man you really are when she steps back. Women don't test you when they feel nothing. They test you when there's attraction. Distance is often her way of asking, are you strong enough to hold your frame without me feeding your ego? She's not always consciously aware of it, but she's watching your reaction closely. And here's the catch. How you respond will either kill the attraction or amplify it. If you chase her the moment she pulls back, you fail the test. You confirm that her approval has power over you. You show her that her silence, her absence, her withdrawal can control your emotions. And once she knows she can shake your confidence, she loses respect for you. Because respect is tied to stability. If she can destabilize you easily, she won't see you as a man she can rely on. But if you stay calm, if you remain centered, grounded, and unfazed by her pulling away, that's when she realizes she can't break you. And that's attractive on a deep primal level. Because now you've proven you're not dependent on her energy to define your value. You've proven you can hold your own. Think of it this way. Women want to know if you're the type of man who collapses under pressure or stands tall no matter what. Her silence, her coldness, her sudden distance. It's like a stress test for your masculinity. She's not doing it to be cruel, though it feels that way. She's doing it because women instinctively want to know if the man they are drawn to is strong enough to lead, strong enough to stay steady, and strong enough not to crumble when tested. This is why distance is such a powerful filter. Most men can be charming when things are easy. Most men can be confident when she's giving them attention, but very few can remain composed when she withdraws. That's why this hidden test separates boys from men. Now, here's the key. The right response to her pulling away isn't anger. It isn't begging and it isn't chasing. The right response is quiet strength. You don't punish her with silence, but you also don't collapse into desperation. You keep living your life. You stay consistent in who you are, and you let her feel the space she created, because if she cares, she'll come back. And when she does, she'll come back with more respect than before because you passed her test. So the next time a woman grows distant, remember this, it's not always rejection, often it's a test. And your job isn't to convince her of your worth with words. Your job is to demonstrate it with composure. Because in her mind, the man who doesn't panic when she pulls away is the man who truly has options. And that's the man she won't want to lose. 7. What men must do when she pulls, what men must do when she pulls away. When a woman pulls away, most men make the exact mistake that kills attraction instantly. They start chasing. They blow up her phone, ask what's wrong, demand answers, or try to win her back with gifts and over-the-top affection. But here's the truth. The more you chase a woman who's pulling away, the faster she runs. Why? Because you're proving to her that her distance has complete control over your emotions. You've handed her the power, and women don't stay attracted to men they can easily control. So, what should you do instead? The answer is simple, but not easy. You must do nothing that communicates weakness. That doesn't mean ignoring her completely or being cold on purpose. It means holding your frame and staying centered no matter how she acts. A man with options, a man with confidence doesn't beg someone to stay. He doesn't panic when a woman withdraws. He trusts that his presence is valuable. And if she wants to walk away from it, that's her choice. The first step is emotional control. Don't text her 10 times in a row. Don't ask her, "Are you mad at me?" And don't start over explaining yourself. Instead, match her energy. If she pulls back, you naturally give her space. If she goes quiet, you don't force conversation. By doing this, you communicate strength. You're showing her that you don't need her constant validation to feel secure in yourself. Second, stay focused on your life. Keep training, working, building, socializing, and improving. When she sees that her pulling away doesn't stop your momentum, she realizes you're not dependent on her for your happiness. And paradoxically, that makes her want to come back, because women are drawn to men who live full-driven lives with or without them. Third, let her feel the consequences of her distance. If she pulls back, don't rush to close the gap for her. If she ignores your calls, don't double down with more. Space creates tension, and tension builds attraction. Let her wonder what you're doing. Let her feel your absence. That's when she starts thinking, did I just lose him? And that fear of loss triggers her to come back stronger. Finally, when she does re-engage, you don't punish her, but you also don't roll out a red carpet. You remain calm, warm, and steady as if nothing happened. That's the ultimate power move, because it shows you're unshakable. Her pulling away didn't break your confidence, it didn't lower your value, and it didn't change your frame. And that's exactly what keeps her attraction alive. Remember this: when she pulls away, your job isn't to chase. Your job is to remain grounded. Keep building yourself and let her feel the difference between your presence and your absence. Because a man who doesn't panic when she withdraws is the man she respects, desires, and ultimately chooses. Conclusion: attraction with women is rarely straightforward. It's layered, emotional, and deeply tied to how secure you are in yourself as a man. When she pulls away, it's not always rejection. Sometimes it's her testing your strength, sometimes it's her protecting her emotions, and sometimes it's her fear of being vulnerable. But here's the key: no matter the reason, your reaction determines the outcome. Most men lose their frame in these moments. They panic, chase, or overinvest. But the men who stand out, the ones women miss, respect, and stay drawn to, are the ones who stay grounded. They understand that space doesn't mean the game is over. They match her energy, remain calm, and keep living a full life that doesn't revolve around her approval. That kind of self-control is rare, and it's magnetic. Think about it this way: attraction thrives on tension, mystery, and respect. If you remove those by constantly chasing her when she distances herself, you kill the very attraction you're trying to save. But if you hold your frame, let her feel your absence, and keep moving forward with purpose, you remind her why she was drawn to you in the first place. At the end of the day, women don't want men they can easily control or manipulate. They want men who remain strong, centered, and unshaken even when things get complicated. So when she pulls away, don't react with fear. Respond with calm strength. That's how you keep her attraction alive, and that's how you win.